Now, I wasn't really planning on making a video on this, but considering the fact that there's loads of YouTubers out there who are making videos on it, I thought I might as well join it, even though it probably won't get a lot of views. And that would be the recent hazing incident that took place at the University of Iowa. Well, not really recently. You've probably seen it yourselves. You've probably seen the body cam footage of a police officer who enters a fraternity house at the University of Iowa and then finds about 30 shirtless dudes in the basement. Well, that is called hazing. I did some research on it, and apparently, hazing is kind of similar to a cult, but not really. It is basically where a person joins a group of other people and they willingly get humiliated, do embarrassing activities and other activities that can range from not so harmful at all to literally killing someone. When I say killing someone, I don't mean someone murdering someone. I mean doing dangerous activities that can result in death. It isn't really fully known why people like to join hazing communities, but it is widely suspected that people join hazing communities because they are very stressed out. Keep in mind, they are university students, and being a university student can be very stressful. So, this could be a tactic to get rid of stress. However, it also could be people fantasizing over being part of a group which you have to participate in very deadly activities in order to be a part of. The people in charge of hazing groups will often say to their participants, do this and do that, or you're not part of the Pretor. I think it's called the Pretor. Yep, now the original hazing incident, it was only released onto the internet about a week ago, but the actual footage takes place back in November of 2024. It basically started with firefighters and police officers responding to a fire alarm that had gone off at the fraternity house where this hazing took place. Also, keep in mind, this hazing event was discovered by accident. It wasn't even purposely discovered, it was discovered fully by accident. So if that fire alarm had not gone off that day, then the people in charge would have never been discovered, and this hazing could have still carried on even today. Yet now, very early on in the footage, the hazing is pretty much discovered almost at the very start of the footage, about a minute in. The people who discover the hazing first down in the basement are the firefighters. Imagine being a firefighter and expecting that you would find a house on fire or fire in the house, and instead you find a bunch of shirtless men covered in ketchup and mustard and alcohol, with wearing blindfolds and standing up against the wall. So yeah, immediately after it's discovered, it becomes very clear that this is obviously hazing. It's not just the room that they're found in, but there's also another room on the other side of the basement, or just down the hall, where there are loads and loads of beds from where the participants have been sleeping. The homeowners later said that the reason why the participants were sleeping down there was because they were planning on moving everyone into that house for the next semester. But I highly doubt that a house of even that size would have fitted all 56 of those people that were found down there. So immediately after they've been discovered, the cops do demands to know who was in charge. The people that were actually in charge said originally that the homeowner, or the house dad, was in charge, but he was at the summit and they couldn't get in contact with him. And also, as the body cam footage goes on, it becomes clear that no one's really paying that much seriousness to it, other than the cops, as the people in charge are like vaping and just looking at their phones. It's also around this time where we get introduced to the main person in charge of this hazing cult, Joseph Geyer. He's introduced with having a very croaky voice, which people do believe that it was from him shouting at the top of his lungs to the participants of the hazing.
I'm not.
Why are you making things difficult?
I'm my fucking friend.
No, you're not. I'm talking to him. You need to go back over there. I don't know why you're being so difficult.
I'm not.
You are.
You guys can fucking leave. How about that?
No, we are not.
Eventually, backup does arrive. However, Joseph Gaia is clearly not a fan of the police entering the room where all the participants are standing. He is seen multiple times blocking the doorway, or at least allegedly blocking the doorway so that the police couldn't get in. Eventually, though, the police do, they are able to enter the room to ask all the participants if anyone is in need of any medical attention, or if there's anyone in that room that is not a participant of it, like a leader or something like that. However, the only words that they can really respond with is no. And that's probably because the people in charge ordered them not to say anything to the police and to deny pretty much anything. So throughout the whole time that the police are asking them questions, they still continue to lean against the wall and just say no in the most creepiest way ever.
Is there anyone with any sort of physical injury?
Also, I should say, Joseph Gaia, who at the time introduced himself as Jose, is seen getting rowdy with the police multiple times because, he's been found out for what he's been doing down there. And also, the house dad does actually arrive, and it is very clear from the start that he had nothing to do with being in charge of the hazing community. In fact, he didn't even know that any of that was going on down in the basement. Eventually, all the shirtless participants do eventually get led out of the basement, where they are led out of the house and are ordered to have medical checks by medical staff just to make sure that they are not in need of any medical attention. And pretty much throughout the rest of the footage, it just shows the cops just speaking with the house dad, with the people in charge, with other people that lived there as well, who may have been in charge or not. There is also some more footage of the police and a detective being at the house of Joseph Gaia the next day, asking him questions about what the fuck happened down in that basement. However, Gaia doesn't really answer much, and he doesn't really say much about what happened. But eventually he is arrested by the police and is taken into custody. He was charged with being in charge of a hazing community, as hazing is illegal in Iowa. However, his charges were dropped somewhere in 2025. As for the fraternity itself, it was suspended from the University of Iowa, and the earliest possible reinstatement date for the fraternity would be on the 1st of July 2029. Hazing itself, it can be a very disturbing activity. As far as I am aware, this particular hazing activity that took place in Iowa doesn't have any recorded deaths. I feel like if it did have any recorded deaths, then the footage would have came out way before than when it did. And if there was any deaths involved, then Gaia's charges would probably have never been dropped. However, it doesn't mean that hazing in the past hasn't caused any deaths whatsoever. There has been multiple recorded deaths of people who have engaged in these hazing communities, because they are being forced into doing dangerous activities which are most of the times against their will. But people do still choose to be part of these communities. Throughout the United States, hazing is illegal in 44 out of the 50 states in the country. The only 6 states where hazing is still illegal is in Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, New Mexico, South Dakota, and Wyoming. And even if death isn't involved in a hazing community, it can leave a long-lasting period of trauma and PTSD on the participants. Hazing is very dangerous, and I don't really think it should be done by anybody, even if they're willing to participate in it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I won't usually talk about things like this on my channel, but sometimes I will probably make videos on incidents just like this. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Take care, and I will talk to you all later.